We got some sad news over the weekend. Former President Joe Biden revealed he was diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer that spread to his bones, stage 4. President Biden said, "Cancer touches all of us. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are strongest in the broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support." President Trump wished Biden a fast and successful recovery. We here hope President Biden's getting proper care and keeps fighting. This was a shocking diagnosis. How did the best medical team in the country let the world's most powerful man's cancer go undetected until now? Biden was the one who caught it himself. He had urinary issues, went to the doctor, and they found a nodule. That's not how prostate cancer is detected these days. Doctors usually find it way earlier through blood tests. But Biden wasn't given a cancer screening at his last medical checkup about a year ago.
It is interesting to note that President Trump's, President Obama's, and President Bush II, in their most recent physicals, in their terms of office, obviously 2025 for President Trump, did comment on their PSA levels. And so they got screened while in office, and they commented on it. There is not a report of a PSA test on the most recent physical that was read out for President Biden's last year in office.
Which doctor decided not to screen President Biden for prostate cancer, and why? Biden's not a healthy man. He had skin cancer when he was president. He broke his foot, had 2 pretty bad cases of COVID. And before he was president, he had 2 brain aneurysms. Why aren't they doing a full battery of tests on America's oldest president? Yale Dr. Howard Foreman says it's inconceivable that this wasn't caught earlier. Dr. Zeke Emanuel, a Biden guy, says Biden's had prostate cancer for years.
If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you were saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh, yeah. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021. Yes, that I don't think there's any disagreement about that.
Other doctors think the cancer could have been spreading for a decade.
The fact that we just find it at a Gleason 9 is just pretty much unheard of in this day and age of medicine. Most likely, he had prostate cancer for a long time. And I mean, usually it takes from the first diagnosis of prostate cancer to spread would take 5 to 10 years, even in the most aggressive form.
Biden's son died of brain cancer. Seems like the big guy was high risk. Why not run a test? We know they never ran a cognitive test, and now they don't run a test for cancer. Biden had more COVID tests than cancer tests. Gutfeld speculated Biden's people may have been motivated by power.
Joe's dysfunction may have been caused not by disability, but by debility, meaning he was worn down on purpose, deliberately kept feeble and weak, which made him pliable, like a POW, except the W stands for White House. Joe's dysfunction was not prevented when it could have been because it kept him easily managed.
It's fair to speculate that Biden's doctors aren't telling the truth. It could have been medical malpractice, it could have been a fluke, or it could have been a medical cover-up. We have every right to ask questions because of the White House's history of lying.
Is it possible that they were withholding his PSA levels or some symptoms that he was having? It's possible, but I can tell you that he has an aggressive, fast-acting form of prostate cancer. It could have formed in the last 6 months. It could have started forming 6 years ago.
Other doctors are speculating Biden may have had cancer this whole time and was receiving cancer treatment and not disclosing it.
Do you feel like that's an accurate or a reasonable analysis of the situation, that he's known for quite some time and he was undergoing treatment for prostate cancer?
There's a high probability. The fact that they're now looking at terminal disease, this is terminal. He's gonna be gone in 2 or 3 years. Although, to be fair, prostate cancer research is moving so fast, they might come up with something that could extend it out 5 or 7 years where he might die of something else first. But he has a terminal condition. At presentation, somebody who's getting regular medical management, it doesn't present as metastatic disease. It's just not how it works. So somebody is known for quite a while.
A doctor on CNN is suggesting that alleged secret cancer treatments could explain Biden's cognitive decline.
One of the biggest side effects that I see in my patients that get these hormone treatments could be cognitive changes. So you have to kind of balance that. People can also get issues with fatigue and weight loss. But when he has stuff in his bones, he's also at higher risk for fractures. So it is a very sensitive conversation.
Dr. Siegel says it's highly unlikely Biden didn't already know he had cancer, and it's time to come clean.
I think they should be public at exactly when this was diagnosed. Brian, we were talking last week about when were the cognitive issues diagnosed. I want to know when this was found exactly. I want to know why. I want to know exactly when this was found.
Trump's former White House doctor, Ronnie Jackson, who treated Biden when he was VP, says Biden's doctor was distracted. Quote, care at the White House should be second to none. Unbelievable this was missed. But the truth is, his physician was more concerned about assisting with the political cover-up than providing world-class medical care. Dr. Kevin O'Connor has some explaining to do. He's not just your average doctor. He was involved in the Biden family business. Biden brought him in because he trusted him and knew he could keep secrets. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.